morning, if you'd like to come to your mat, and we're going to start with a good shake out of the body. Shaking the arms, legs, and give the ankles a bit of a shake too. And just moving the body in any way that feels good. Maybe some nice large stretches of the arms. And maybe you can yawn, especially if you've just got up out of bed. That's a really nice thing to do. And then bring the feet so that they're roughly underneath your hips. Relaxing the arms down by the sides. And just take a few breaths just to check in with your body. Notice any sensations this morning. Allow the breath to settle. And if you like, you can start using a ujjayi breath, where we just slightly close the glottis, the vocal cords. And you can just hear that slight movement of air through the throat. So we're going to start with a sideways bend. So if you inhale, take one arm up by your head and place the other hand underneath on the rib cage. As you exhale, we're going to bend to the side, and we're going to use this hand just to tap the side of the rib cage, wherever you can reach. Inhale, come to centre, and just repeat that a few times. With the start of the winter, we often find that we start to get colds and build up of mucus or phlegm, and this action helps to loosen up any phlegm or mucus in the lungs. And it also sort of puts us in touch with our ribs, helps the ribs to mobilise and open. And maybe also you can use just some soft, gentle touch on the last one. Inhale to centre, and exhale, take that arm down. And just notice, does this side feel a bit more awake? And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So inhale, take the arm up by your head, hand on the ribs, and exhale into the sideways bend. A nice tap all the way around that area. Using your ujjayi breath, if you can. If not, then just stay with a natural breath. And we'll just do one more. And this time we'll just give that area a nice soft rub. Come to centre, and we'll take maybe both arms up. Inhale, you can interlink the fingers, press the palms towards the ceiling and stretch all the way up both sides of the body. Feeling the connection with the feet on the floor. And exhale, bring the arms down. And we'll release the shoulders, just taking them round in circles. A few times in one direction, and then reverse the direction. And just check in with your neck. How does the neck feel? Maybe just move the neck to the side a few times. Nice, gentle, soft movement. And come back to centre. So we're going to do a short sequence. So we have our feet underneath the hips. And we're going to inhale and take the arms above the head. And as you exhale, bending at the knees and the hips, chair pose. So we're tilting the torso forwards a little bit. The eyes are towards the ground in front of you. Inhale here. As you exhale, Straighten the legs a little, bring the arms behind the back and bring the torso parallel to the floor, drawing the chin in, back of the neck long. Inhale here, slight lift of the spine as you do that. And then on the next exhale, rubbing hands down the legs, coming down into a forward bend, keeping the knees as bent as you need them to be, relaxing the head. Inhale, just lifting the spine a little bit away from the legs. Exhale back into that relaxed forward fold. Bend the knees quite strongly. Inhale, come all the way up, trying to keep a nice tall spine for as much of that movement as possible. And exhaling, lowering the arms back to your starting position. I'll turn sideways, you might be able to see better. Inhale, arms above the head. Exhale, chair pose, so it's as if we're sitting back in a chair. Inhale, stretch into the fingertips. And exhaling, straightening the legs, coming half forward bend, arms behind the back. Inhale here. And as you exhale, keep the knees soft as you run the hands down the legs into a forward bend. Inhale, a slight lift of the spine. Exhaling, relaxing back down into your forward bend. Bend the knees strongly, bringing the arms up by your sides or by the front if you wish, up, back up into standing. And exhaling the arms down. Inhale, arms above the head. And exhale into chair pose. Inhale, stretching into the fingertips, looking forwards. And exhale, half forward bend. If here you'd like to maybe take the arms forward on the next inhale, you can. And exhale, forward bend. Inhale with that slight lift of the spine away from the legs. And exhaling back down, relaxing the head and the shoulders. Bend the knees. Choosing whether to bring the arms up by the front, it's a little bit more work for the back, or by the sides. And lowering the arms down. So we'll just do one more of these. So in your own time, coordinating the movement with your own breath. Thinking of a nice tall spine. Soft knees. So take your time to complete that sequence. And when you have finished, coming back to Samastiti, tuning into the body and the breath. So we're going to transfer the weight now onto one leg. So if we take the weight onto the left leg, and as you exhale, draw the right knee up towards the chest. I'll do this standing sideways on. As you inhale, take the arms up by the head and start to straighten the leg, bring it down and back behind you. And then a slight tilt at the hips forwards, so slight tilting position. And then moving between those two positions. Exhale, arms down, knee to chest. So it's a bit of a challenge for the balance. Inhaling, straightening the leg, taking it down towards the floor but not touching the floor. Back behind you and a little tilt forwards. If you find that your balance really isn't good this morning, you can use one hand just to hold onto a wall or something like that, something next to your chair maybe, and just use one arm, just like this. And then as we work with this asana, we can start to tilt forwards if you feel that's within your capability. Just go as far as it feels okay for you. And if you need to stop partway through and just shake out that other leg, that's absolutely fine. And you might find you can start to come towards the floor a little bit. Whoops. So you're starting to bring the body into a kind of T shape. And then bring that leg down to the floor. Shake out the other leg. So, letting the breath settle. And mentally bringing the weight over to the right leg this time. As you exhale, bring the left knee to chest. And then inhale, arms come up, taking the leg down and back, and a slight tilt forwards. And you might find this either easier or harder than the first side. None of us are completely symmetric. Body always tends to be a little bit weaker on one side, just because of the way we lead our life. Ordinary activities tend to favour one side of the body. It's just good to notice that. Maybe in our practice, do a few more repetitions on the one side that's a little bit weaker. I'll just do 2 more repetitions. And come back up to standing, take the arms above the head, interlink the fingers, and again stretch up with your inhale, and maybe on the exhale we can come back to going to the side. Inhale, centre, exhale to the other side, and we'll just do that one more time, each side. And when you've completed, lower the arms, ease out the shoulders, and maybe we can ease out the hips as well, just by placing the hands on the hips, taking the hips round in nice big circles. Keep the knees soft, and you can reverse the direction. See if you can find any places in that circle that feel a little bit sticky, and so you can go back and just work on that place a little bit. And come back to standing. So again, we're going to balance on one leg. Balancing on the left leg, we'll raise the right knee, and this time we can hold around the knee. Just allow that head of the femur, the top of the thigh, to feel as if it's just dropping down towards the floor. The whole of the right leg passive. Oops, losing my balance. Shoulders relaxed. And then I'll turn sideways on. From here, run the hands down to the ankles and take that knee so that it's dropping down towards the floor. And the other hand can come onto the hip. So when you feel settled in this position, we're going to take the other arm up by the head, stretching up towards the sky. See if you can stretch all the way down the left side of the body. And then we'll start to move the right thigh back. So we're pressing the foot against the hand and taking the thigh backwards. And you should start to feel a nice stretch all around this right shoulder. So keep moving the thigh back. Nice feeling of opening across the chest. And then if you want to, you can pivot forwards from the hips slightly. Don't collapse the chest though. Keep working on moving the thigh backwards. It's as if the foot is going up towards the ceiling. Stretching forward with the left hand. Couple more breaths. And come back. Release the leg. And again, a little bit of shake out of the body. And coming back to being balanced on both feet. And taking the weight of the body over the right leg. And then we'll lift the left knee towards the chest. Hold around the knee. And just take a couple of breaths here. Before sliding the left hand down to the ankle. Dropping the knee down to the floor. And the other hand can come to the hip. Open across your chest. And then take the right arm up towards the sky. Stretching out all down the right side of the body. And then we'll start that action of pressing the thigh backwards into your hand. And then a very slow tilting of the body forwards. Taking care just to keep the chest open, not collapsing. Whoops, losing my balance. So anytime you lose your balance, just come back to the start and start again. Taking your time, all the time in the world. And just take another breath or two. And release. Little shake out. Take your attention to your breath. Allow the breath to come back to a nice, easy, effortless, natural breath. And so we're going to move into a position for warrior. So if you stand near the top end of your mat and take a step back with the right foot. So the right foot is angled out at about 45 degrees. Just to make sure that you feel stable in this position, you can make the feet wider. So in the short end of your mat, from one side to the other, you can make the feet a little bit wider in that direction. That could help you to feel more stable. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can separate the feet in the direction of the long side of the mat. So if you take up your position so that you feel comfortable and stable, rolling the shoulder blades back down the back, looking straight ahead with a steady gaze. And on the next inhalation, we're going to bend the front knee and take the arms above the head, coming into warrior. Take the arms back behind your ears, open across the chest. And then as you exhale, we're going to straighten the legs, lean forwards and bring the hands down towards the floor. If they don't come all the way down, you can either just bring them down to your thigh, or you can use a couple of blocks. Have a couple of blocks each side of your foot, like this. So exhale down into the position, either bending the knees or the hands on blocks, or bringing the hands to the floor. And then on the next inhale, we come back into warrior. And come back to your start position as you exhale. So we can start to count the breath, the length of the breath. And we'll start with a comfortable length, maybe 4 or 5 seconds, both for inhale and for exhale. So choose a length of breath that feels comfortable. And try and make sure that the inhale and the exhale are roughly the same. And then on the next one, we can maybe move that forward to maybe 5 seconds, if that feels comfortable for you. So working always within your capacity, not straining the breath, keeping the breath easy and smooth. And if you find that by extending the breath it gets a little bit jerky, then just come back to the previous count. So again, just see if you can lengthen by 1, maybe come to 6 or 7. A nice steady, smooth movement and a nice smooth, steady breath. And if you need to take a rest in between, that's absolutely fine. So we'll make this one the last one. Opening out the chest, feeling all that lovely air coming in to the lungs. And when you've completed, coming back and stepping the feet together. Let the breath relax and just notice how the body feels. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Taking your position, making sure that it's comfortable and stable, but also that it does challenge you a little tiny bit. So when you're ready, inhaling, coming into warrior, and we'll start back with that first easy breath length. Might have been 4 seconds or maybe 5 seconds. And always take a breath in between repetitions if you feel the need. And starting to lengthen the breath, both the inhale and the exhale. And remembering when you come forward, you can bring the hands to a block, or you can keep the knee bent. Or you can even bring the hands down to a chair, top of a chair or the seat of a chair. So gradually lengthening both the inhale and the exhale, trying to keep them the same length. And synchronizing your movements to match the speed of your breath. As your breath lengthens, you'll probably find you need to move more slowly to accommodate that longer breath length. And we'll just do one last one. Trying to keep the movement smooth and steady, in line with a smooth and steady breath. And when you've completed, turning the feet forwards, stepping them together, noticing the breath. And so we're going to come back to warrior pose, and we're going to stay in the pose for 4 or 5 breaths. So we'll start with left foot forwards, right foot back. And as you inhale, coming up into your warrior pose. And we're going to stay here. Nice deep inhales into the chest and long, slow exhalations. And if you like, at the end of your inhale, you can maybe hold the breath. See what feels okay for you. Maybe 1 or 2 seconds. See how long your inhale and exhale are. Don't force the breath. Don't strain. So if the pause after the inhale feels like it's straining, then we'll leave that out. 1 more. And lower the arms, straighten the leg. Turn to the other side. When you're ready, inhaling, bending the knee, bringing the arms up. If you like, you can straighten the arms and bring the palms together, but I find that constricts the chest a little bit, so I like to keep the elbows soft and the arms quite wide. And also another variation, you can look up to the ceiling. I find that this is quite difficult with my balance, so I'd rather stay looking straight ahead with a steady gaze, focusing on the breath. And when you've completed, exhaling, lowering the arms, straightening the leg. Stepping the feet together, and from here we'll come down to the floor to all fours. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath your hips. We'll do a few rounds of cat-cow. So as you inhale, you drop the abdomen down towards the floor, lift the sternum, look forwards along the floor. And then as you exhale, arching the back towards the ceiling, lowering the head, looking between your legs. So this is the cat. As you inhale, soften the elbows, coming into cow. And keep moving between those 2 positions, allowing your breath to dictate the speed of the movement. And taking your attention to the spine, seeing if you can isolate the movement between each of the vertebrae in your spine. A nice flowing, undulating movement along the spine. Tuning into that. And then on your next exhale, coming to a neutral spine, tabletop. And from here, on your exhale, we're going to exhale and take the buttocks back towards the heels. Child pose. And just take a few breaths. So from child pose, if you just lift the hips partly away from the heels and stretch the arms as far forward as they'll go, bring the forehead down to the floor. See if you can feel a nice stretch under the armpits. Stretch back with your hips, stretch forward with the hands. And then on your next inhalation, we're going to lift the head slightly, move the body forwards, keep the elbows soft, bring the hips down towards the floor and looking forwards, now in up dog, and exhale back to the previous position. Again, a nice stretch between the hands and the hips, forehead towards the floor, and inhaling again towards up dog. So again, a nice smooth flowing movement with a nice smooth breath, and fitting the speed of your movement to the length of your breath. And if you'd like to make a little pause at the end of the inhale and at the end of the exhale, if that feels okay for you, then go ahead. And in that pause, just wait for the breath to begin before you begin the next movement. So the pauses shouldn't be effortful. They should feel quite natural. If they don't feel natural, then don't do that. And we'll just do one more. And if you're in up facing dog, from here, just lowering the head down towards the floor. Take the arms forwards, so the palms are on the floor in front of you. Take the forehead down to the floor. And on the next inhale, we're going to raise the head and the shoulders and the arms and the legs off the floor. You're still looking down towards the floor. As you exhale, stay here, but bring the elbows back towards your sides. So the hands move back. Inhale, straighten the arms again. Exhale, lower everything down to the floor, and you can turn the head to one side and just take a resting breath. And when you're ready to continue, inhale, head comes to center. Raise the head and the chest, the arms and the legs. Keep the back of the neck long. Exhale, drawing the elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhale, stretching forwards with the arms. And exhale, relax down. Turn the head to the other side. Resting breath. So when you're ready to continue, inhale, coming back up. Exhale, squeezing the shoulder blades, drawing the elbows back. Inhale, stretching forwards. And exhale, everything down to the floor, turning the head. And just rest for as long as you need to before you continue. I'm just going to do one more. And come down to the floor, turn the head. Resting breaths. So from here, turn your head to centre, and we're going to bend the left elbow and place the forearm underneath your head. And we're going to bend the right knee so that the sole of the right foot is facing the sky. Reach round with your right hand and take hold of the ankle. As you inhale, lift the right thigh away from the floor, lift the torso a little bit, so you're just looking along the floor in front of you, and keep pressing the sole of the foot towards the sky, feeling that nice stretch coming up into the right side of the chest, lifting the thigh, lifting the chest. Nice stretch around the right shoulder, and exhale down. So we're turning to the other side now, so the right elbow is bent with the arm underneath the head, bending the left knee, reaching round with the left arm and taking hold of that ankle. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, lifting the left thigh away from the floor, pressing the sole of the foot towards the sky, lifting the chest. A few nice breaths here. Keep stretching back into the straight leg and relax down. And just take a resting breath or two. You can bring the hands underneath the head. Take the arms wherever you wish, wherever they feel comfortable. Let the feet relax out to the sides. And then if you feel ready to continue, we're going to bend both the knees this time. I'm going to reach around with both arms, take hold of both ankles. We're still looking down towards the floor. And then on an inhale, lifting both of the thighs away from the floor, pressing the feet up towards the sky. And you might be able to look towards the floor just in front. And then just see if you can rock to and fro. Nice massage for the abdominal organs. Bow pose. So release the legs, hands underneath the shoulders, press back up into all fours, and then tucking the toes under. On an exhalation, lifting the hips, straightening the legs into down facing dog. Take 2 breaths, and then inhale, come back to all fours, and exhale, child pose. You can rest in child pose, or if you like, you continue going between these 3 positions. Inhale, all fours, tuck the toes under, exhale, down facing dog. If you like, you can stay here for a few breaths, or you can come back down on the inhale, all fours, exhale, child pose. Again, you can rest in child pose for as long as you wish. Or you can keep going. Inhale, all fours, tuck the toes under, down facing dog. I'm going to stay here for a few breaths and moving from side to side, so lifting one heel, press the other heel into the floor, and then going to the other side, getting a nice stretch down each side of the body. And then on the next inhale, coming back down to all fours. And then sitting back on your heels. And you can have a cushion to sit on, or you can sit on some blocks. And just come to a comfortable seated position. Use a chair if you wish. Tall spine. Just making sure that your knees are lower than your hips. You can cross legs, or you can put the blocks in between your legs. I find this is quite a comfortable seated position. Just so that the spine can be in neutral. Relaxing the shoulder blades. Drawing the chin down and in slightly so you feel the back of the neck lengthen. Nice tall spine all the way from the pelvis up to the crown of the head. And the hands can be relaxed upon your thighs. Facial muscles relaxed. And bring your attention to the breath. Just observing the breath as it comes in, flowing in through the nostrils, to the upper chest, mid-chest, down to the abdomen. And on the exhale, the abdomen contracts back, the ribs shrink, the breath leaves the body. So we're going to practice a little bit of alternate nostril breathing. Every breath is going to be in through both nostrils, and then we're going to exhale by partially closing one nostril, exhaling through the other. Inhale both, and then exhaling through the other nostril. So to close the nostrils, you can either use Mukri Mudra, which I've explained in a previous video. So we use the thumb, you fold in the first two fingers, and then the little finger comes in front of the ring finger, so that just makes one. So you've got two prongs. It's like the horns of a deer. Mukri means deer. So when you close one nostril, the other one can be either completely open or just partially open. If you've not done this breathing practice before, it's a good idea just to keep the other nostril completely open. But if you're used to it, you can maybe just try partially closing one nostril. So we're going to take a nice inhale through both nostrils, and then we're going to close off the right and either keep the left completely open or partially open. Breathe out through the left. Take the hand away, breathe in through both, and then partially close the right nostril, completely close the left. Inhaling through both, breathing out through the left, breathing in through both, and exhaling through the right, either completely open or partially open. So keep going with this pattern. And just notice that we're not using ujjayi breath anymore. We're not constricting the throat at all. The resistance to the breath is just coming at the nostril. So a nice, quiet, easy breath. And we'll just do one more repetition each side. When you've completed taking that arm down, allowing the breath to return to normal. We'll place one hand over the abdomen and one on the chest. And just feel that as you inhale, you're inhaling deep down into the abdomen. And as you exhale, you're exhaling from the chest. Inhaling, feeling the air descending down, all the way down into the abdomen. Exhale, feeling this chest area soften, shrink down. So if you don't actually feel the air in these places, just see if you can imagine it happening. Breathing deep down into the pelvis. And just exhaling from the upper chest. Using your hands to guide you. Noticing the quality of the breath. What words would you use to describe your breath? And one last breath. And we'll bring the hands into prayer position, Anjali Mudra. Finishing just with a feeling of gratitude for our breath. Thank you for joining me this morning.